everyone, the truth about designer outlets, and specifically this is about, should you start your bag collection with bags from outlets? Should you, if you've already got a collection, add to it with outlet bags? Are they really worth it? Well, I'm going to show you 3 of my outlet complete bargain buys that I've bought over the years, and also talk to you just about my thoughts on this and about actually the truth of outlets and how they really work. Now, I had one of you leave me a comment yesterday, and what you said was so interesting. You said, is it the case, are we really getting a good deal when we buy these things? Or actually, is it a case of the fact that we've just bought a bag that is a second or never went on general sale, and so that RRP price is basically made up because the items were only ever made for outlet? You really got me thinking about it. So I've kind of got some thoughts on this, as well as the pros and cons, I think, of buying from luxury outlets. Now, there's an outlet in the UK, there's a few in the UK, but the main one is Bicester Village. And some of you, if you watch me and if you watch others, you probably have already heard about it. It's a fantastic place to go because it doesn't just have kind of outlets like Polo Ralph Lauren or other places, like, you know, along that line. Sometimes I've been to designer outlets before and they haven't really been that designer. You go to Bicester Village, you've got Dior, you've got Fendi, Valentino, Balenciaga, Balmain, loads and loads of like really top end brands, and you can get up to 40%, sometimes a bit more actually, if you go and shop from them. But are the bags included in these places, are they really worth it? If we start with Coach, Coach is a really good example of, Coach is actually a brand I really like, and I've got a few Coach bags that I've shown you before. But Coach, I think, is quite a well-known brand that creates bags that are for outlet. If you go into Coach in Bicester Village, or where you live, if there's a Coach near you, you might notice that the bags in there you haven't actually seen before out in the general release of the public. They're bags that you only see in outlet. And it does appear to be the case from loads of you who have told me that actually Coach is one of those brands that does make bags just for the outlets. So as I'm going to show you here with this Balenciaga bag, typically you walk into a place, you have a look at the price tag, it's got on it how much the RRP was, basically how much it was when it was on general sale. Then it's got the sale price. The RRP is essentially made up on some of these items because the item never went on general release. So the RRP is the discounted price. So are those items really worth it? I think there's some pros and cons to it. I think the great thing about these outlets is that it allows you to buy a bag from a brand that you might not possibly have the budget to do otherwise. I have got, let me show you one of my first bags, which I really class as being like an investment from a long-term point of view. And it's my Prada bag, which I love. This is in the nylon, and it's got leather Saffiano trim on it. It also has a detachable crossbody strap. Now, I bought this several months ago, still in 2022, and I can't remember what the original price was on this. It was over £1,000 because the actual price I paid was £720, and you get so much bag. Like, look how much space you've got there. On the inside, it's really lovely lined. It's got the Prada lining, as you can see there. It's got an inner zip pocket. It's got the Prada plaque there. And I've just tried to get it to show on the camera, and it's not, but on the actual strap that lets you carry it crossbody, it's got Prada written into the material. I wish I could show you that. Maybe I'll try and show you it by filming it off camera, but trust me, it's on there. And when I saw this bag for that price, I really was caught, it really caught my eye. Is this a bag that ever went on general sale? Well, here's the thing. When you go to these outlets, always use Google before you go and buy anything. Sometimes, so when I went to Bicester Village a couple of weeks ago, they had Balmain t-shirts, and I thought, oh, that's amazing, they're going to be discounted because they're current. They weren't. They were £350, which is actually the current price. Sometimes in some of these outlets, and I know it's the case in Bicester, if you go into a store, not everything that they sell has to be outlet. Some of it can be new stock at full price, and that's a really easy trap to fall into. When I went into Gucci back in December, they had some really cute bags in there, and I got really excited. I was like, oh my god, they're discounted. When I looked and googled it, I was like, they're not discounted at all, actually. So make sure you use Google. But when I used Google on this, I could see that actually it was a couple of years ago, but this is a bag that was at one point on general release, general sale. Does it matter if you buy something that never went on general sale? I mean, it depends on the person you ask, but for me, I don't think it's a problem. If you are starting your collection, maybe you have a budget of up to £1,000. If you like Prada, something like that bag I just showed you could actually be perfect for you, and it could be the thing that that ticks the box. You're like, I've got a Prada bag. It's bigger than other Prada bags, like the reissue, which is under £1,000, but it's tiny. And also, in a way, I feel like the bag I've just shown you is slightly more classic than the reissue. The reissue, I think, it has been brought back from the 2000s, and I'm not sure that I can still see that being here in 5 years' time. But you buy something that's roughly a classic shape, I think you're pretty much safe with it. So that bag, that was one that at one point was on general release. It could be a second, but there's nothing on it that is broken or looks defective. So whether it's a second or not, I'm very pleased with the fact that I bought it, and I'm really pleased with the price that I bought it for. My next outlet bag is this. This is a Fendi bag. I'll show you close up because it's quite nice. It's got the Fendi print on it on the sides and on the bottom, not on the back. It's plain on the back. And this has been one of my most used bags this summer because we've just been going out for loads of walks, and it actually carries 2 bottles of our water plus all of my stuff. This, again, this is current stock. It's not current as in now. They don't make these anymore, but it wasn't actually so long ago that they made these. It wasn't years and years and years ago. Do I think this is a second? Genuinely, no. There are no marks on it. I checked it over before I bought it. There is nothing wrong. Normally, I have purchased seconds before, and you can tell they are a second. So if you are buying something, by the way, a second is something that was made by a brand and it's defective in some way, maybe a zip isn't stitched on properly or there's an issue with it, you will be able, technically, you should be able to see a second because there will be a defect with it. If there's no defect, even if it is a second, who cares, because you can't tell. So don't worry, I would say don't worry too much about seconds. As long as what you're buying doesn't have defects on it, chances are you probably haven't bought a second. This is another bag that I also bought at Bicester Village, and this is what I got from the last video. Do you see what I mean? This shape, this is the hourglass bag. This is classic. This is current. This isn't a shape of bag from a few years ago. In fact, this shape is new, so it's not even that old, if you see what I'm saying. I also Googled it before I bought it because I thought, I just want to check the colorway, make sure this isn't something weird or whatever, and I checked it and I could see that at one point these were actually for sale. You could also get it in dark pink, and they're not for sale now because they all sold out. And of course it is a bag that's going to be at least 1 year old. This is what you find with outlets. The stuff that they sell tends to be at least one season out. Normally it's a whole year out between what you're buying now and the last time when it was launched. So the benefits of buying outlet bags. First of all, more often than not, you can go and buy your bag and you can get the brand you want, and you can potentially get it for a price that is reasonable and that fits your budget. Buying from an outlet doesn't mean that you can't find current items. As you saw from that Balenciaga bag, that's current, that's now. When I saw it in the window, I was actually really really shocked to see that in the window, because normally when you go into these places, it is older stock, but you can still buy current. On the reverse side, why is it a bad thing? It's a bad thing because you don't always know what you're buying. You might be buying something that is 100% made for outlet. One day in your life you might want the money, you might try and sell it and you don't get so much for it. You do run the risk of seconds, although as I've said, seconds are not something I have ever worried about when buying from outlet, because you can tell, you can normally really tell a second. And then the final thing is you don't always get the best quality. Sometimes, particularly if you buy from, let's say, Coach, who do make bags specific for outlet, and actually some of you have told me Gucci do the same thing. Sometimes you don't always get the quality on those bags that you would on the ones that you would buy in store. But again, check it over. If you're not happy with it, don't buy it. You know, if you're really not happy with it, put your money towards the version that you can buy online or in the store that is definitely current. Really weigh it up. Don't always be pulled in by the discount price, because the discount price doesn't necessarily mean that the item is worth buying. And also that discount price, as I've mentioned, sometimes isn't real. Sometimes the discount price is exactly the same as what it is if you buy it online, so make sure you check that. Finally, to answer the question that I said at the beginning of this video that one of you asked me, which is, do all of these brands just sell outlet versions? I can tell you from my experience, Dior at Bicester Village, no. Their items are 100% old stock that hasn't sold. That's another thing. This is what you can get at outlets. You can actually end up buying old stock that never sold, which is what we all want, isn't it, basically? You either want something current or you want old stock. Probably, I don't know how many of you would want to buy something that's outlet only. I would. If I liked it, I'd buy it. I don't really worry too much about that, but I know that's not for everyone. Prada as well. I can't speak for everything that they sell, but whenever I've been into Prada, I have 100% seen items in there that I have seen online and in the actual boutique. So with Prada, it's another brand where I would say don't assume that what they've got in their store is all made for outlet. Gucci as well. Gucci's a funny one because as some of you told me, Gucci do actually make, they mix their unsold stock with outlet only stock. Apparently, I have no proof of that, it's just what you've all told me. But again, I've seen things in Gucci that I remember seeing, and they're old stock, they're unsold stock. So don't necessarily assume that all of these places are selling made up stuff. Some of them actually really do sell old stock, and so you can really grab yourself a bargain. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think. I'd really love to get your feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.